Hi, friend, and welcome. I'm Marilee. Thank you for joining my podcast, Express Light. I believe we each have a unique gift and ability. Being created by nature, I have the desire to start my own business, and I know firsthand how important it is to blend creativity and business together. It has not always been easy for me, but I have successfully built my boutique serving people from all over the world. Because of my experience, I am passionate about helping others like myself who are looking to express light in their own lives through their gift, skill, or talent, and make a living doing it. If that's you, tune in each week as I provide tips, interview those who are successful in their craft, as well as share enlightening stories of how to build a business as a creative entrepreneur. Welcome to Express Light.
Spring Christensen, Meg Rowan. I got it. Hey. And I'm so excited to be with you ladies today. Thank you so much for joining me, for taking the time out. I understand you run Triple H Youth Ranch, and you originally started in Salinas, California. That's where you met your husband, correct?
Right.
And I just love that, I'm in the Monterey area, and we kind of connected through friends and family. You're into horses because I am an avid horse lover, and so I just love that I get to do this podcast with you ladies, and it's so nice to meet you, Sabrina.
Thank you.
So first off, let's just start with what started this therapeutic center. Tell me a little bit about the Riding Center, what your goals are through this, how it began.
All right. Well, my husband and I purchased this property 15 years ago in 2007, and the horse facility was already here for the most part, and I already had 8 horses, and I was selling real estate at the time, and I was listening to Focus on the Family one day and heard an interview with Kim Meter with Crystal Peaks Youth Ranch, which is a Christian ministry up in Bend, Oregon. And I was so inspired by listening to that radio podcast, and decided to order her books. She'd written 2 books, and I read the books and was deeply moved by the stories of how she rescued horses and used children, well, not used children, but invited children to come and help with the restoring the horses back to health and being able to be used again, and just the stories of healing and victory that and love that came through bringing horses and kids together. So my husband and I are Christians, and we've been missionaries in our past, and we do really love to share the love of Jesus with people, and we saw this as an opportunity to use this horse facility as a place to share the love of Jesus with children, and also share my love of horses and my knowledge of horses with them. And so, I guess one thing I've thought of is that you have Jesus, horses, and kids, and what could be better than that?
Exactly. 100%. I agree with that one.
Yeah. So, and I'd say probably about 10 or 11 years ago, I did incorporate, what happened was I went up to Crystal Peaks Youth Ranch and went to their informational seminar and learned how to start a nonprofit, because I didn't know how.
And where is that located?
In Bend, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
And every year they have an informational clinic where you can go learn.
Nice.
So I went up there and went to the clinic, started to try to get a nonprofit going. I was kind of by myself, and came up with the name Triple H Youth Ranch, and the H's stand for Horses, Hearts, and Healing. And it was really, I remember the agony I went through just trying to figure out a name. Came up with a name, and I did get a board of some friends of mine gathered around me, and we started, and we were really small, but I started working with some foster kids, and I got some referrals from the foster care agency, and then a ministry in Stockton called Restore Stockton brought some kids out on once in a while. But the reality was as much as I wanted to do it, and I think one of your questions was what is one of the hardest parts about doing this, and I think I was a little bit naive in this sense that I thought if I have a facility and I have the horses and I have the knowledge, and if I make an announcement, that it just magically is going to happen. And I think to actually grow and raise money and figure all that stuff out was a little bit harder than I realized. And so I have 4 kids, and they were all still in school, and I was really busy being the soccer mom, and I found that it was really hard to do both. And so Triple H Youth Ranch kind of went off on the side a little bit, and it was always still in my heart, and I didn't want to give up on it. And about 3 or 4 years ago, my youngest daughter got her driver's license, and I didn't have to drive her anymore everywhere. And so I felt like I had more time. I stopped selling real estate, and I just was out here, every day, full time. And I've been teaching riding lessons, and the riding lessons, the money I generate from the riding lessons pays to keep the horses. But now that we have a new board, and Sabrina is chairperson of the board, and she's very good at writing grants and raising money, and so she's and doing administrative things. So she's been really, really helpful, and so we're kind of growing more than we ever have right now, and we are trying to make a transition from doing less riding lessons to more ministry. And when we say ministry, we mean that we can offer a child a free session, no charge, and we do that. When we can, we do that, and we have on our website, you can fill out a scholarship request. Someone can get on our website and fill out a request, and then we can have the child out and work with them and the horse for free. So that's what we're working towards.
Now, I was on your social media not too long ago and noticed that you posted the video that you took a horse out to visit a little girl that's a neighbor around here.
Yeah, right next door.
Yeah. I thought that was the sweetest. I love just seeing the opportunity of being able to make that child smile, for sure. Yeah. Cancer's kind of close to my heart, so that would definitely touch me. And so, have you always had horses growing up, or like what is your early on background?
Right. Yes, I would say I've had horses since I was 13, and always wanted a horse. And then our church started a youth ranch ministry, and so then my dad bought me a horse, and I rode all the time. And then I went to a horsemanship school in Watsonville, at Monte Vista, and for a couple years, and got really a lot of instruction and knowledge, and did hunter jumpers. And then after that I got into dressage over in Carmel Valley. I studied under a lady named Jennifer Roth in Carmel Valley. And then I always had a horse during that time. Then when I was in my 30s, we went on the mission field, and so I sold my horse and went on the mission field for a while, about 6 years. Came back and was able to buy 3 acres in Riverbank and get horses again. So
I love how the story of, you had a passion that obviously got inspired in your heart, and it's just been there forever and been building. And then he took you on a journey to be in the mission field, and you had that space, and I'm sure you missed the horses while you were out there to a degree. But then now you've been able to combine that, and it's just like how he pieces your life together on your greater mission, really. I mean, this is where your kids are grown, and you're on to being able to really focus on reaching the lives around you in a whole new way that kind of brings what your passion is about together with that. Like you said in the beginning, horse is Christ, and how do you not love the combination of all that together? When you're working with the kids, has there been a moment like that's like your greatest joy, your greatest story that you've enjoyed? And I'm sure they're all wonderful to work with, but like, what are you hoping to accomplish in each time that you're working with them? And has there been a significant time that that just stands out that
I think maybe if you could be thinking about something you want to say, and I'll say something. And wow, that's hard, because I see a lot of different things going on. Because I've worked with kids that are coming from good homes that are benefiting from just being around a horse and learning responsibility and learning to work through fear and, learning to take care of another animal and love and be in relationship with another animal. As far as, I cannot really think of one specific story. Okay, I do know a story. Okay. So there was a girl in the very beginning of Triple H Youth Ranch. It was Cassidy's sister. Was coming out here. They were homeschooled, and Cassidy's sister, her name was Caitlin, and she, after coming out here for maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, we had like an open house, and she like shared her story. Like, I didn't know her story really, and she said, she was probably about 15 or 16 at the time. She said, when I came out here, I was so shy that I couldn't even order food at the restaurant. I couldn't talk on the phone like to somebody because I was too embarrassed. If I was at a restaurant, my mom would have to order for me. I couldn't speak. So, but coming out here and working with Sunny, she would work with Sunny and one of her horses, and she said, working with Sunny changed my life, and now I'm not afraid. And she spoke out in front of everybody on the open house. She said, now I'm not afraid. She said something about, I'm being homeschooled because people were mean to me in middle school, and I was bullied, and I really had suffered in my self-esteem and things like that. But working with the horse changed her life, and she was no longer afraid, and that was really, really touching to me, because I really didn't even have any idea. Just she would come out and we'd work with her, and her life had completely been changed.
I've always had this saying, just because I've grown up with horses too and raised them with my girls and whatnot, but it's horses bring on the outside what you're dealing with on the inside, and I think animals in general, I see that with, I have puppies, you guys know that I bring pups to the store, and it's so interesting because you can see people, their moods change when they start interacting with an animal, and it's like they start expressing themselves a whole lot more, and I just love that you point that out, because it's true. It's like, it's just, to me, what a greater joy there could be than to help somebody really get out what they're dealing with on the inside. And to find that peace and that joy, and where it really comes from, for sure.
Well, and that's really what, that encompasses the very essence of what this program is about. One of the things, and I could name dozens of situations where we saw a tremendous transformation in a child's life here. And the thing that we have really noticed as we've grown the project and the programs and the way that we relate with these children, and after meeting with Crystal Peaks and getting a better idea of how to draw that all together, because the Lord, children, and horses, they're three of my favorite things too. So it's just really amazing how God pieces that together and how he orchestrates those relationships. But what I've seen with the kids that come out here regularly is whether they come from an at-risk situation or whether they live in a fairly stable home, we all have the same struggles. And what they've been learning now is how to relate, to take the relationship that they build with this horse, because like you said, horses bring what's on the inside out because they have so many mirror neurons, and that's how we kind of reach the children when we are showing them how to do something, or we're talking about a horse, and we're able to get them to recognize when the horse is feeling a certain way, to examine their own hearts and see if maybe it's coming from them, that anxiety or that fear or that uncomfortableness is actually what's in their heart, so that they can start to identify it to help the horse out, not be so.
Exactly. It's like they're able to see themselves in a sense, but not really have to talk about themselves. They can talk about the animal, and I love that, because it's so true. It's like you just see that softening in them. We've had lots of kids and horses around in my life too, so I totally understand it, but probably not to the level that you guys are when you're dealing with, traumatized kids and that kind of thing. So what a ministry, for sure. Now,
we do see kids come out here sad and anxious and leave with a smile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In just 3
For
hours,
sure,
the
for
change
sure.
is
I'm
amazing.
sure it's the highlight
Yeah.
of their day,
For
of their
sure.
week, for
For
sure.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the memories that you're putting in their heart forever, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, just you never know what you're inspiring, how many people you're inspiring to go
Yeah.
on and do better things and to understand themselves more because of it. So
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing that in society where you can't reach certain children, we have several special need children that come out here, and although we're not a special needs facility, they come out and they participate in our program. They're very high functioning, and the feedback that we get from their relatives is just, it's such a blessing to see the way that the horse touched the child. And you could speak to one of the young ladies that we have here
Yeah.
that is a high functioning Down syndrome. That
She when she comes out, she can be a little bit difficult to deal with. She doesn't like to be corrected, and doesn't like to be micromanaged. But we know when you're dealing with a horse and a child, you kind of have to micromanage them because they're so big. But she came out, and her mom was telling her, remember, you got to clean the stall first, because we like to have the child do a little chore first. We think it's healthy to work a little bit before they get to work with the horse. And so she was telling her that, and the girl was like, okay, all right. And I was trying to get her to engage with me and look at me, and she wouldn't look at me. And I was trying to chit chat with her, and she wouldn't look at me. And then I said, oh, we have a miniature horse. You want to see the miniature horse? And because we have a new miniature horse. And her eyes just went right on me, and she's like, yeah. And she's not that small of a girl, but she was just interested. So we went and got Jamba out and tied her up, and we brushed her, and she was enjoying. She's so cute. And all of a sudden I realized here was an opportunity for her to walk this miniature horse around, and I wouldn't have to micromanage because it wasn't dangerous.
right.
And so I said, well, let's take her out to the arena. So we took her into the arena, and she was walking all around, and she was kind of like half singing, smiling, talking to her. And then she started trotting her around, and she jumped over the jumps and stuff.
She just got real comfortable with her right away.
And the little mare is very well trained, it turns out, and very easy to handle. And so I basically just sat there and let her, instead of telling her stop, do this, don't do that. And she just got to have fun with the horse and the little pony, actually. And that was really a neat thing to see. It's what I saw was the value of this little miniature horse for a child, where they can kind of be independent, and I don't have to worry that they're going to be safe. So
Yeah, and that instinct in her just kind of took over, and she probably didn't realize that. I love, like when it comes to showmanship and horsemanship and all that thing, it really brings out a sense of confidence. And she probably didn't realize the confidence that she was dealing with right in that moment.
Yeah.
But that little horse was teaching her for sure.
yeah,
So
And then Joseph, we've got Joseph who's doing so well.
yeah.
through the experience of working, whether it be like a setup situation, maybe a county interaction, or just dealing with, an individual child or whatever, has there been any significant challenges that you face that maybe if somebody were wanting to do this type of work that you might suggest, I have a tip for you, or something in that regard? Whether it's just like how they mentor the child, or how they connect in county to be able to get established with helping certain individuals, or that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I think you have to figure out what kind of facility you're trying to run. We're trying to do a Christian ministry, and so we connected with Crystal Peaks Youth Ranch, and they're kind of like our mentors. They've been going for quite a long time, and they've actually written, manuals and things, and you go to their informational clinic for like 3 days, and you can learn how to do this whole thing. Because there are facilities that do like therapy that's like psychological therapy, and I'm not trained in that, and so I'm not trying to be a psychological therapy program.
Right.
We believe that being around horses and the love of Jesus is therapeutic for the soul, But so it just really kind of depends what your mission is, and so my suggestion would be, depending on what your mission is, if you're trying to do a psychological therapy center, then you would need to go find one and get advice from them. But
I
yeah.
like how you mentioned a mentor. I mean, so many people just want to jump out and help in whatever way they can because they have the heart for it. But getting the right process so that you really can reach the kids that need it, and in the right way and avenue, and really understanding yourself before you do that is definitely a good place to start. And then also, just having that guidance along the way so that if you run through bubbles and whatnot, for sure. Now, you mentioned earlier that you're great in grant writing and kind of thing. What does that entail? Too much?
A lot. So this is where, if you're getting started out, is really a good process, a good place to start. But it's a lot of work. There are dozens of different grant websites out there that you can either purchase membership to, or there are some free websites, but you might not get the list of grants that are available that you're really looking for. We have a couple that I go to, that I have an account with, that I go to and I look up. I do searches on all different categories, from equestrian to agriculture to youth to religious. There's probably about 8 different factors that I do my searches on, and then I have to research the organizations that are giving the grants. There may be stipulations that we don't fit into. It may be a grant that we don't necessarily want to get involved with because they may want to set rules on you. Being a religious organization, we have to stay away from that because we just can't get involved in an organization that's going to try to dictate how we teach the Word of God. So then I have to write letters, and with those letters I have to submit budget reports. A lot of times they may be project oriented, so I need to submit the actual project plan. Our standard grant package is about 8 documents, and I have to tailor them to each grant, so it's a lot of work.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's time. Sometimes it's on a time constraint because there are deadlines. So if you miss it, you may have to wait till the following year. So for new businesses getting involved with something like this, I would say definitely get involved right away with the grant writing process. That's going to be your primary source of income going forward.
So I've asked her a little bit about her history. Did you already have an understanding of the whole grant process, or how did that come about? Because I'm sure that's as detailed as you speak of it. I mean, it took a little knowledge there.
Well, it's my history. It's from all different. I've played many different roles in my life, and I went from being a farm girl, raising horses, breaking horses, to moving to New York City and becoming an executive. So all the steps in between, I learned a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I'm also one of those people that if I want to do something, I want to know everything there is about it to get it done. So I've just, I worked in philanthropic department on Wall Street in one of the firms that I worked at, and I got a little bit of an idea of how that the donation process works and all of the rules. And then it's just a matter of researching for the industry that you're dealing with. Yeah.
How cool. I just love how the stories come together. And then how you guys connected, even is amazing too.
Yeah.
So I don't speak more on that.
Oh, wow. That was really God orchestrated, because our husbands are both members of a men's motorcycle ministry called Soldiers of the Cross, based out of here in Modesto. And her husband had been in it quite a few years longer than my husband had, but we had never met. And in 2019, we were given the opportunity to go on a co-ed husbands and wives mission trip to Belize. Our husbands are building a lot of churches in the Central American region. And we met there on the mission trip and got to talking and found out that we had a lot of similarities. We both, had horse backgrounds and loved the Lord and loved kids, and that was just kind of how it started. And I just started coming out here and kind of being a hang around for a while.
Then she's like, you know what? You ought to stick around a little more. That worked out so
She's
well.
definitely helped take this place to the next level. So I'm so grateful for her help. She's very professional. So yeah.
And it's nice, it gives you the chance to focus more in your gift, really, and then she can take on some of the other tasks for sure.
Yeah, this place speaks to my heart. I grew up, I was an at-risk kid, and having a horse in my life is kind of what got me through it, and having the Lord in my life is what got me through it. So over the years, leaving the horse life behind and going into, Wall Street and living in the city for all those years, there was something missing in my life. And when I started coming back out here to visit with MA, the hole immediately began to get filled. And it was just amazing how the Lord took the three things that I loved the most, children, horses, and him, and put them together with someone who felt the same way.
Yeah.
And just how he orchestrates, it's so amazing. And not everyone listening to this podcast will understand a faith-based concept, but I can speak from my own life, and I'm sure you guys have individual stories too. It's really hard to put into words until you take the step to understand him yourself and really dig in and get the questions answered that you have, to understand how he really works and how he really does change lives. And we can paint a pretty rainbow, but it really takes the digging in and finding out on your own and experiencing his love. And to come to an environment like this and just get a hint of that for some that don't even have the understanding of what real, genuine, just being real, a human that loves them with unconditional, generosity is not what most people are used to.
Right.
And what a contrast for them to see and walk away with and feel whole because of down the road at some point when it really connects.
Well, and that's where that's the point. I think for us, our being Christians, our greatest commission is to love. That's what the entire book of the entire book in the Bible, every book talks about love. That's what the commission is. So for us, the only way to love is to live in it, to live it. So even if you come out here and you're not a Christian, or you don't understand what it is to be a Christian, you will still benefit from the love that is given to you through our volunteers and our junior leaders and our staff and our horses. So it's something that we can offer to people, and it might stir that curiosity. Okay, so this is what God is about. I want that. I want that in my life. So it doesn't necessarily. You don't have to be a Christian to receive love.
Right. Exactly. And you don't have to have a faith-based therapeutic center either. I know when my daughter was pretty involved in too, right out of the OSU college area, Stillwater, and it was a very special oriented, but what a for kids to be able to be involved in their lives. And it inspired a good friend of hers. For a long time she wanted to go into therapy, she wanted psychology and whatnot, but it's just fun to see the impact that you can have through an animal, and through just being able to give yourself into the other person in front of you and make that connection. I think there's so much about a horse and connection, like we talk about, and I think that's something that everyone has an innate desire for, and it's such a fun way for them to find it. So have your families always been into horses, or is it more just probably more the mom thing?
I know in my situation, I tried to raise my kids riding when we came back to the States, and two of the kids remained interested in the horses and two weren't really that interested. And I realized that it was okay that they weren't interested, and I tried and exposed them to it. But and my husband, for him, sometimes it's been trying. I think amount of work, amount of money, and they break things, and I think it's been trying for him. But he knows that it makes me happy, and so he supports me, and he also loves when he sees me using the horses to give to children. Yeah. So he sees the value of that.
And I like how you made that point that, just because it's your passion, your love may not be theirs, because we're all wired differently and, for a different purpose. And I love that they support what you do, though, too, because I think it takes that as well.
Yeah, my
true.
husband is not, he likes the horses, but I could have them. But he loves the Lord, and he knows that I do too, and he knows that that I'm bringing honor to him, and that it fulfills, my heart too, so he supports it as well.
Yeah. And I think it's not everyone. I would say the same thing. My husband would much rather sit at a football game. So they're just not wired that way. He'll go for a trail ride now and then or whatever, but same thing. But sitting by the beach, watching a football game, or something more relaxing for sure than all the dirt and work that goes along with it.
Right.
The flies.
Right.
Flies.
Did we talk about what you actually offer as far as any package thing, or if anybody can come to you directly?
So we have a website. It's HHYouthRanch.com, and on there is a scholarship request. People can fill out that form, and we will get it, and we will review it with the board, and we will invite the child out if they fit our criteria. Most of the time they do. We try for the ministry sessions. We try to offer the sessions to children that have been through something, either like a loss or struggling with being bullied at school, or with depression, or with abuse or neglect. So, and then I think that's basically how people find out how they can get a session out here.
And you are on social media as well, right?
Yep.
Under
Triple H Youth Ranch on Instagram and on
Horses, Hearts,
Facebook.
and Healing at Facebook.
Yeah.
At Horses, Hearts, and Healing.
Okay,
perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. You were asking about how do you start an organization like this, and one of the things you have to do is pick a name, and you also have to come up with a mission statement. So I thought I would mention what our mission is. So I am going to paraphrase it because I don't have it memorized, but we have 3 points to our mission statement, and the first one is to demonstrate God's love to people who are hurting using horses. And then the next one is to mentor young people to become compassionate leaders. I'm very much interested in mentoring young people, and eventually teaching them how to give back. And we have a junior leader program out here where children can be that have been coming for a long time can actually end up being a horse handler and help with the program. So and then the final one is to share the country lifestyle and its benefits with others.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah.
And you did a pretty good job paraphrasing as
Yeah,
well.
I think I did. I think I remembered it almost word for word, but
You did.
yeah.
I struggle to remember how I spell my name. But anyway, well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today. I have definitely been inspired with your heart on everything. I know that there is definitely a ministry in it, and I'm grateful for what you do. I'm jealous of what you do. To work with horses every day would be amazing. So I was able to raise our kids with them, and that was fun too. And my daughter still has them. I get a little bit now.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking we'd like to take you around to see the horses.
Okay.
And
Well, one of the other things I wanted to mention, right now the only thing we're offering are those Saturday and Thursday program sessions. but we are, as we're growing right now, we're in the process of trying to raise enough money to bring in some permanent staff and to bring on more volunteers to start doing other activities at the ranch. We'd like to incorporate, several different types of activities that may not necessarily be on the horse, to try to reach other children that are quite comfortable with being on the horse, at this particular moment. So we've got a lot of different things coming down the pipeline as we continue to grow, just trying to raise our funding.
I was going to say, has that been, I had two questions you made me think of. Has that been difficult to get structured?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's difficult to, anytime you're working off of a volunteer base, it's difficult to get consistency. There are a lot of caveats to being on a ranch. There are dangers. We have to take safety into account all the time. So there's a lot of training that's involved. So it is kind of a slow growing process. We have been getting, better at it over the last year.
More
but
experience, probably.
yeah, there's a lot to put into it. And it takes money, and up until, this past year, we were just kind of funding it with whatever we could. So I think that the more funded we become, the easier it will be able to put in more structure.
Right, for sure. And my question that I was going to ask is, I'm sure, did COVID, was that difficult to go through? Did it shut you down? And has it been more of a safety feature of experience that, or?
Surprisingly, COVID, at first, when we were all trying to figure out what it was, we were completely shut down. But then I noticed, I work with a lot of homeschool kids, and I noticed that a lot of them felt comfortable coming out. And so we would just say, well, we're outside. And so for a lot of families, I felt like it was almost like a place they could, because they couldn't go very many places. It was like a nice place for them to go and get out
outside,
away from their home. And so it was an interesting time trying to figure that out, but it didn't slow us down that much.
No, in fact, sadly, it increased the number of children that were referred to us that did not handle COVID, the isolation very well.
That's true.
Right. And that I completely understand.
That's true.
Yeah, and just another reason to burn the passion for doing it.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just take a tour, and I'd love to see, meet the horses, of course, and see.
If we don't blow away.
Yeah.
First.
That's
Show
really
them a little
windy.
It's weird.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Show
I
them.
think the weather
There's
is
a hurricane
changing.
coming up the coastline
Oh, really?
down Southern
Oh.
Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a bad storm down there, huh?
Yeah, it's
That's the nature of working
yeah,
outside.
that's it.
Yeah. All right.
Which is to get into this particular industry, it's one you don't get to escape.
It's rain or shine.
Yep.
You've got to be okay with being outside in any kind of weather.
Right?
Last week we were out here in the 110.
That is the little mini horse that she was telling you about. Jonga has been coming to the ranch for a few years as a boarder when they would go away on holiday.
You are cute.
Isn't she precious?
Okay, you have to know. I almost need to know the story of where you got her. We had a miniature that looked very similar.
She belonged to a couple here in Ripon who would bring her out here when they were going to go on vacation, and Amay would horse sit for her. And then recently, she's been spending a lot more time out here, and they came to Amay and asked her if they could donate her for the cause.
See, she jumped over things. I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
So yeah, we're in the process of adopting her, and we're going to probably utilize her for non-riding program sessions, because the kids just love her to death, and she's such an easy lead pony, and
It's really easy to handle.
she loves being loved on and groomed.
Very gentle.
She is, and she's beautiful. Her mane is so sweet.
Yeah.
Pinky.
Yeah. Hey, who's this one?
This is Tonka. I bought him in 2003. He's about 27.
Aw.
He's just, all my kids grew up riding him, and he's taught so many kids how to ride. His name is Tonka. Yeah.
He's still very much a part of the program.
Yeah,
He
Those-
gets used regularly.
Yeah, those older ones, they know the routine.
Yeah.
They also are so gentle.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's a good boy. They canter on him still.
Oh.
Yeah.
He just got trimmed. So
Flip, yeah, the body
now
flip.
he's all touched up and pretty.
He's normally a little hairier than that because he
He's
he
like,
has-
where are the treats? Where are
he
you
has
going?
And this is a rescue that we adopted about, I don't know, 3 years ago. The sheriff seized this pony from a neglectful home. His feet were curled up and he was skinny. And Hope's Chance Horse Sanctuary took him on and trimmed his feet and found that he had a tumor in his head, a bony tumor. But it seemed like it was, they thought it wasn't going to grow or anything. So we adopted him. Triple H's Ranch adopted him, and then the tumor started bothering him. And
Well, no wonder his name was Feisty.
yeah, and his nose was always running on the one side, and so it was up inside his sinus. And we did like a GoFundMe and raised $3,700 and took him to UC Davis and got the tumor removed.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So you don't just heal kids, you
Yeah.
help kids, you also
Help horses
full
too.
circle help the horses. I love that.
Yeah.
You can almost not see the scar anymore.
Yeah,
almost
the scar is
gone.
right
He's
here. Come here, buddy.
Almost fully healed.
It's
and
right
he's
here.
Such a happy pony now.
Because I don't want you to see it. I don't want you to see it.
Don't look
He's
at
like,
me.
that's the sore spot. You can't see that one anymore.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
He's
Oh, wait, I like his braid.
yes, the kids
Pretty
love fixing his hair.
Aw.
And he'll let you know whenever I get here, because I come out every day, and he'll try to get me to give him a treat. He'll just go, come,
He's
come,
always
come see
talking.
me.
Thinks the hay's boring. He wants treats.
Yeah. It's the people.
We even got a sign.
Say that one more time because I had
Yes, I do.
turned it off really quick.
This is our tack room. And we even got a sign.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a little dark in here. But we're lucky that we have such a big tack room. Some places don't. Got a nice big
Nice and
tack
cool
room.
in here too.
Yeah. Our tack room.
Nice.
All our saddles are here. Bridles.
Buy foods for the kids.
Oh, that's right.
around here.
We people have donated boots, and some of my kids' boots I just kept them. And children that don't have boots, we provide them boots and
Nice.
helmets. So yeah, those are our loaner boots.
That works.
Yeah.
And I like the sign. That's cute too.
This is the main barn here. Whoops, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
And there are 6 stalls here.
And then are these borders?
There's only 3 boarders out of the 12 horses that are here.
Okay.
So
And they're all down here except for Chief.
yeah. The chief belongs to Triple H's Ranch.
Pretty guy.
Yeah, we love him.
And I like how you keep the fly mask on him.
Yeah.
Give him a little fun
Protected from the
protection.
flies. That's Jack. He belongs to an 11-year-old girl. He was a rescue, and Maxine adopted him from a rescue.
Mm.
So he's about 20. This is Mexico. horse, but he boarded here, and she got him about almost a year ago. And he's gorgeous. Yeah.
She braided his hair.
Well, let's go this way. We'll show you Sabrina's horse. I sent my horse up to the hills to get trained about riding in the hills better,
Oh, nice.
because I'm going on 2 trips in September, so I also don't like when he just sits here.
Yeah. That'll give him, yeah.
He's a beautiful horse, though.
Aw.
He's a gorgeous, tall, stoic.
Nice.
This is my horse. This is Leah.
Aw.
She's an Arabian.
She says, hi, Mom.
You want to take off her
Yeah.
fly mask?
You wanna show?
So there's not very many Arabians that are black, but the lady that bred her was trying to breed black Arabians, so she's pretty much
Oh, she's
almost pure
pretty.
black, yeah.
Now, how old is she?
She just turned 20. She's got a fun backstory too. She had come out here as a boarded horse and was here for a very long time. And the previous owner had some health issues and couldn't spend a lot of time with her. And then at one point she had a heart attack and she couldn't get into the stall with her at all. So when I first started coming out here, I kind of fell in love with her, and we just built up a relationship.
What it's all about.
And then in May, she donated her to me.
Oh,
Yes.
how fun.
So now she's mine, and we've been working on confidence builders and trust, because she's not green, but she's not very rideable. So she doesn't know she's 20. She thinks she's 8.
She says, what's this work all about?
All right, so this is a little arena right here that was a project last year, and we got a grant for it, and it was cross-fenced and had stalls in here, and we decided to change it into a small arena, so we would have 2 arenas, and we tore everything out, laser leveled it, and put sand in, and we're really, really thankful for this area here. If we ever wanted to have a show out here, we have 2 arenas now, warm-up arena, and it's just nice to have 2 places to work in case one person's working in the big arena, somebody else can work here.
So, are there a lot of shows, excuse me, a lot of shows in the area that you know of?
I think there are some, yeah.
That's
We're
awesome.
not showing a whole lot.
And we're right next to Oakdale. Oakdale's right down the road, which is a big rodeo and cowboy town.
Yeah.
Nice that you can build that eventually too.
Yeah, I'd like to do a benefit horse show out here where the proceeds go to the ranch.
There you go, yeah.
This little arena was quite a
Main arena. And
Yeah, we'll have some demonstrations out here in November for our fall open house on the 5th of November.
yeah.
So, do you bring the kids out here as well, or are
Yeah,
they mostly?
we at this point are doing most of our work out here, and this is just a backup for now.
Gotcha.
And I think our intention for the small arena was so that we could work with the smaller children in a more controlled environment. So that's probably what's going to take place over there in that arena. It's also an easier arena to turn your horse out in, or to lunge your horse if you're just doing small training exercises.
Nice. That's perfect. The other thing I was wondering too is, like, I'm getting hungry, so my brain is going. I think about while you're talking, then it just disappears.
Over there are just some big sand paddocks. They're not really that fancy, but we do have some bleachers right here for people to sit on.
Smokey says, "Don't forget me."
Smokey, that's our cat we've had for 14 years. Oh, kitty, he's so beautiful.
So
One of the things about the ranch life and the ministry, which has been really fun to share with the kids, is, we've got 3 cats, we've got some ducks, some chickens, and a goat, and the kids
And a dog.
and a dog, and the kids they love all of the animals.
Yeah.
They get all
So they all
aspects,
fit, they all play a role here.
get a real sense of country life, really, and what it's all about.
Yeah, Yeah, sometimes I feel like the cats and the dogs have just as much a ministry as the horses.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You've been running around.
You gotta stay here, kitty.
I heard
Don't
you've
go
been
across the
going down
road.
the
He's like, are we
road.
working again, Mom?
I bought probably about a year and a half ago, and he was rescued from a feedlot, you know, where they're going to go to be slaughtered, and Hope's Chance Horse Sanctuary drives a trailer up there sometimes and rescues horses, and they brought him home, and I thought to myself, Tonka is getting really old. He's almost 30. I need another pony the size of Tonka, and so he's the same size as Tonka. So I'm training him to be a replacement for Tonka.
I love it.
And he is so beautiful, and to believe that somebody was just throwing him away.
Right.
Crazy.
What one person doesn't treasure, the other one will, right?
Yeah.
And he's such a good pony. I mean, he's come so far. He's just we just love him.
He's very trainable.
Yeah. And
How
he's
old is
so
he again?
handsome.
3.5.
Yeah. You've got plenty of years with him.
Yeah.
For sure then.
So we'll show you Hershey first, since we were talking about him. This is Hershey right here.
Hi, Hershey.
And he's just fancy, you know, for being from a feedlot.
That's going to be his size for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he's not going to get any
That's
bigger than that.
perfect.
Isn't he great?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, he looks sleek.
You leveled up, buddy.
You've been giving him
You
Camellia?
definitely leveled up.
I haven't been that consistent,
No?
but
Wow.
yeah, he
He
does
looks
look good.
sleek.
He does. I do sometimes, but not every
Yeah.
day.
He looks good.
I need to have like a container of it out here because I have to carry it back
I
and forth.
know.
This is Captain, and he has a fly allergy, so he's all covered up.
Oh.
But he's
He's the captain.
yeah,
Yes.
And probably a really good babysitter for Hershey.
yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yes, they are buddies.
They-
Captain Jack Sparrow was his name.
Yeah, I named him
Cute.
Captain Jack Sparrow when I bought him because he has a parrot mouth. He has a
Aw.
really bad overbite.
Uh-huh.
And little did I know that he really had the personality of Captain Jack
He
Sparrow.
really does.
A little bit devious, but a lot of fun.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have their own unique personalities, which you know as a horse person, it's just so much fun to get to know them and learn all their little niches and their little quirky habits. It really, and the kids love it too. I found that a lot of the kids, when they come out to help feed or to help do stalls, you hear them talking about this horse likes this, or don't do this with that, he doesn't like that. So they really pay attention, and I think it makes them feel, you know, connected and important.
Exactly. I was just going to say they
Yeah.
associate.
Yeah.
It gives them something to relate to. You know, who doesn't want to be able to like connect and
Yeah.
relate and just when they do
it's so
that, it's like
cute.
it's such an opening. Yeah, they're like, wow.
Hershey, you're my boy. I gotta get back to working with you though. I've been kind
He's
of
like-
ignoring you.
He's like, I'm all right if you don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
Just feed me, I'm fine.
He is so ornery. He's our destroyer. He's our little mini destroyer. I was out here cleaning the water one day, and I had put my nets over on his side because I was going to go to his barrel. And I heard clinkety clink, 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 and I turned around, and he was just stomping, tearing.
Broke a bunch of nets.
I could tell you a few horse stories.
Yeah.
Oh boy, they're the best. for
He's
sure.
very playful. We have a couple that are really playful that like to grab rakes and kick things.
Right. That's the fun of them too.
Yeah,
They're
they're so
they
fun.
have an energy about them for
They
sure.
do.
Andy wants to say hi. You want to say hi? Hi. Welcome to Triple H Youth Ranch. Great to see you again.